The economic conditions caused by German reparations and the inter-Allied debts helped lay the groundwork for future war. Many believe that the solution was to go back to how things had been before the war, when the majority of international debts and investments had been controlled by the private sector. The idea was to take the inter-Allied debts and German reparations out of international politics. The Council on Foreign Relations speculated that Germany could deliver negotiable securities to the Allies, who, after marketing them for cash, could ask the US Treasury to accept a once-and-for-all cash settlement. This would limit intergovernmental debts to the private sector's ability to finance and transfer them. At a University of Chicago roundtable conference, Garrett Winston, Undersecretary of the Treasury from 1923 to 27, suggested that debtors could ask the Treasury to cancel future installments of their debt settlements by discount for cash. He said that, at reasonable current interest rates, this would bring down later payments to manageable amounts and, quote, the menace of a continuing burden on generations not yet born would end, end quote. To top things off, most Allied bond issues would probably end up in the hands of US investors, like how British private investors snapped up French government bonds after the Napoleonic Wars, and how Germans did after the Franco-Prussian War. This would mean that there wouldn't be much private corporate borrowing for productive purposes for a while, but business expansion as usual wouldn't be able to continue for long, unless the intergovernmental debt elephant in the room was finally addressed. While the idea of transferring debts and reparations to private investors was gaining traction in the United States, the US drew the line at holding an international conference. After all, the inter-Allied debts were allegedly inviolable. An international conference, the kind Europe was suggesting, would call that inviolability into question. That was episode 31 of this series breaking down Super Imperialism, the Economic Strategy of American Empire, by economist and professor Michael Hudson. If you're interested in understanding the economics underpinning American empire, I highly recommend checking it out. Next up, we'll be covering tariffs and their consequences post-World War I, so stay tuned for episode 32.